Good morning, class. This is my informative speech. Did you know 4 in 5 people are not equipped to handle stress? People who cannot handle stress turn to ways to cope, and those ways can be healthy choices such as exercise or unhealthy choices such as drinking. Corrupt coping mechanisms such as overeating, compulsive shopping, and self-mutilation can lead to a dangerous lifestyle. Everyone has known or knows someone who has handled stress in an unhealthy way. Having personally dealt with an unhealthy coping mechanism has given me the knowledge and experience with the subject. Overeating, also known as binge eating, is a serious disorder in which large amounts of food are consumed frequently. Most people who binge on food do it in secret because they are ashamed of their behavior. Even though they know it is wrong, they cannot resist the urge to binge eat. There are many symptoms of binge eating, such as eating unusually large amounts of food, frequently eating alone, and losing and gaining weight repeatedly. Depression and anxiety are also a sign that someone might be binge eating. Eating too much food frequently is dangerous for your health. The long-term effects of binge eating are obesity, heart disease, and diabetes, which are all life-threatening diseases. In order to cope with the problem of binge eating, people who have the disorder need to first ease up on themselves. More specifically, stop criticizing themselves so much. People overeat when they are worried, and self-criticizing yourself does not do much but make you upset and sad. Journaling about one's feelings and behaviors is another way for someone who deals with binge eating to cope. Writing in a journal makes you more aware of your feelings and behaviors and can help prevent coping in other ways. Most people like to go shopping. Women like to shop for clothes, men like to shop for sports equipment. But what happens when your shopping gets out of hand so much that it interferes with spending time with your loved ones? That is when you need to look at yourself and see if you are a compulsive shopper. A compulsive shopper is someone who has an obsession with shopping so much that it significantly interferes with the functioning of the individual. Having an obsession with shopping is not only bad for your pockets, but it is also bad for your finances, and it can put you in debt. In the article, Compulsive Shopping Disorder, It's No Joke, the author talks about Betty Jean Barici, a woman who lived in Pennsylvania, who was sentenced to 27 months in prison for embezzling $1.5 million from her manager. Barici spent the money on hundreds of pairs of shoes, more than 3,000 books, 58 coats, 16 chainsaws, and a $25,000 John Deere tractor. Most of these items were never touched. Barici is a perfect example of a compulsive shopper. A compulsive shopper buys things because they get a pleasure out of it. Point blank, it makes them happy. Psychotherapist April Benson believes that compulsive shoppers suffer from low self-esteem, insecurity, and inadequacy. In order to cope with their problems in other ways, compulsive shoppers need to identify the emotions and places that trigger them to shop. Also, they need to remember to not buy things spontaneously. If they try to do these few things, they will be on their way to getting rid of an unhealthy coping mechanism. 1% of the U.S. population, or between 2 and 3 million people, exhibit some type of self-abusive behavior. That means 1% of the population has self-harm by cutting, burning, scratching, pulling their hair, and ingesting toxic substances or objects. For people who self-harm, it is a way for them to cope with their problems. It may help them express their feelings that they can't put into words, distract them from their life, and release emotional pain. The warning signs of someone who self-harms are unexpected wounds or scars from cuts, bruises, or burns, usually on the wrist, arms, thighs, or chest. Another warning sign someone could be self-harming is finding bloodstains on clothing, towels, and bedding. These are both important signs that someone might be using destructive behavior to harm him or herself. It is dangerous to self-harm because it is easy to misjudge the depth of a cut or end up with an infected wound. You could accidentally cut an artery and accidentally die. It also only gives you a temporary relief, and in the long run, it causes far more problems than it solves. In order to find healthier coping mechanisms, people who self-harm need to identify the reasons why they cut and what triggers them to cut. They also need to confide in someone, whether it is a loved one or a complete stranger, because this is one of the first steps to getting help. Coping mechanisms such as overeating, compulsive shopping, and self-mutilation are all examples of unhealthy coping mechanisms. Coping in unhealthy ways can lead to an unhealthy lifestyle. When handling their stress, stress, and other emotions, people should find an alternative to coping with their problems rather than turning down a dark path and unhealthy mechanisms that could lead to a dangerous lifestyle. Thank you.